turn to the page in your instructions. You're going to write your date in the corner. 5.3h is our TEK. We're going to talk about borrowing from a whole number when we're subtracting mixed numbers. Okay. So our first step is always going to be to subtract the fractions first. I cannot subtract these two fractions because they don't have a common denominator. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do my M for my multiples. I'm going to put one denominator here, one denominator here. My multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12. My multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18. My lowest common multiple is 6. So that tells me my new denominator, my LCD, is going to be 6. I can look back up here. 5, 6 I don't have to change. I'm only going to have to change my 2/3. So 2/3, I'm going to multiply it by 1 because that's how I'll get an equivalent fraction, and my new denominator has to be 6. So 3 times what would give me 6? 3 times 2. So to make this my 1, my whole number, my numerator and my denominator have to be the same. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. So now I can come up here and my problem will be 7 and 4/6 minus 3 and 5/6. So now that my denominators are common, I can subtract my numerators. So I look to go and I do 4/6 minus 5/6. But I can't do that because 4 cannot subtract 5. So now I'm going to borrow from my whole number. Okay? So I had 7 and 4/6. I'm going to borrow from my 7. I'm going to take one of the wholes from it. That leaves me with 6. I am borrowing one whole. I want you to think about it for a minute. When you would subtract before, say you had 123 and you were subtracting 8. When you're borrowing from that, because 3 won't subtract 8, you come over here, you're borrowing a 10 from here. That leaves you 1 10 there. You're taking that 10, you're breaking it into 10 equal pieces and adding it to the 3 ones that you already had, so that you had 13. Then you would say 13 minus 5 ones, or minus 8 ones would leave you with 5, 0, 0, so there. Okay? So when you borrowed from here, you borrowed and broke it into the 10 rod. But now we're taking that one little unit cube and we're deciding how many pieces we need to break it into. Now you're going to add it to the fraction that you already have. You already have 4/6. And we already know you cannot add or subtract fractions if the denominators are not common. So if your denominator is 6 and you're going to add this whole to it, you need your denominator to be 6. And so since this is one whole, the numerator and the denominator have to be equal. So we're going to add this now. 4 plus 6 is 10. And then our denominator is going to be 6. So all of this gives us 10/6. So now we're going to come up here. This is going to equal 6 and 10/6 from our work down here. We're going to subtract 3 and 5/6. 10 minus 5 is 10. over 6. We did all that work to get, but I said the wrong thing. 10 minus 5 is 5. We did all that work to get a common denominator. We're not subtracting our denominator. We're talking about how many pieces we're subtracting. So we got 5 6 left. Then we can subtract our whole numbers. 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, we're going to do one other example. I want us to do 6 minus 2 3/8. Now, we don't have any fraction over here that we can subtract from. That's our first step. So we're going to have to borrow from our whole number. I've got a 6 that I'm going to borrow from. That's going to leave me 5 wholes. I'm going to borrow that one whole, but I want to make it into a fraction. My denominator to subtract from this is 8. So to save myself some work, I'm going to break this into 8 equal pieces, and we're talking about all 8 of them. So this is going to turn into 5 8/8, which didn't change the number, we're just representing it differently. This right here is still a whole, so you would have one whole that's represented as a fraction plus 5, so it's still 6. This we don't have to change at all because we were smart when we broke our whole apart and we broke it into 8 equal pieces so that our denominators are equivalent or common. Now we can do 8 minus 3 is 5/8. 5 minus 2 is 3. So I want you to come over here to the next page. You're going to do these 4 practice problems on your own, and we'll check those tomorrow in class.